This is only the second time I've done this, the best song on every blank album. The first one I ever did was quite a while ago, Tyler Creator, and I really enjoyed doing it, but for some reason I didn't keep up the momentum and continue doing more artists, so I thought this week, why not do a new one for Little Simz? The timing is perfect. She's just announced her new album. She dropped the lead single for it. Guys, it's perfect timing. We have an album on the way. Her 6th album is coming. So yeah, let's talk about the first 5 albums of her discography and list out the best song on each album. As always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What would be your picks? Do you agree with my picks? And as ever, make sure you're supporting the channel, at least subscribing, at least liking the videos, sharing them around. And then if you're feeling super generous and you've been a good friend of mine for a while, you could even support financially and maybe join the Patreon, join the Discord server if you get to join the Patreon as well. You get other perks, join the membership page as well. All the links are in the description. But yeah, hopefully you guys would consider supporting this and keeping these videos going, because I know you like them. So yeah. Curious Tales of Trials and Persons is the debut album from Little Simz. Not an album that is completely star-studded with major, massive highlights or anything like that. But it's one of those albums that's kind of pretty consistent from start to end. It's not really got the highs of the best of her work. But, you know, each track is pretty enjoyable, pretty decent stuff. But for me, the one that stood out the most, which seems to be one of the standouts across, you know, the general consensus, is Dead Body, which I do find to have way more of a menace to it, way more of a bite to it, way more of a kind of chill to it. It kind of gives me sort of Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar vibes in places, you know, their collaboration. I kind of feel like the way she sort of says that line does kind of feel very Kendrick inspired. I mean, she's referenced Kendrick on her songs before. I clearly can see that the Kendrick influence is there. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that was something that kind of motivated some of the elements of this song. But I love the production. I think it all sounds really good. It kind of sounds whacked out. It kind of sounds messy. And like I say, a little bit of a chill to it, which I really like. And I don't really feel as though there's many Little Simz songs that sound like this. So yeah, for this album, I would say it's the best track and stands out even amongst her discography as well. Still in Sim Wonderland next. Very much considered her weakest album across the board. I mean, it very much is her worst album to me. I think it's pretty clear this is the only time I'd say Little Simz has missed so far. Just think the amount of features on here and the amount of them that are just not very good really doesn't make this album stand out in the best of ways to me. So certainly none of those tracks with features on are going to be in contention here. But the one that stands out to me personally is Picture Perfect, which I like the kind of sardonic, sarcastic nature of it, where she's essentially, you know, talking about this wonderland place that she lives in and where she's from, but it's kind of just like this messy sort of like spooky carnival circus that's like, you know, built in like the Halloween film series or something, where all these kind of terrible things are happening, all these not so good things are happening, all this not so wonderland type stuff is going on. And yeah, I just appreciate the lyrics here. I again really like the production, really think this one stands out across the track list as being a much more of a hype track. Love her delivery here as well. Yeah, for an album that I think is pretty weak across the board, I think Picture Perfect is definitely a strong track amongst a pretty meh bunch. Now, I'm sure even as a massive Little Simz fan, you basically clicked the video for this run of albums, really, because, you know, even Little Simz fans, the biggest ones, don't really talk about those first two very much. Maybe for good reason to an extent, but Grey Area is really where she kicked into gear. Come on, like, I don't think any Little Simz fan would disagree with that. This is where it gets really hard, because the amount of quality tracks from, you know, Grey Area through to No Thank You, which is a really strong 3-album run for sure, is just, it's great. It's crazy. It makes it so hard to pick one individual track. And yeah, Jesus Christ, Boss, Venom, you know, Offense, like so many good songs on this friggin' thing. But I will tell you right now, what could be my favorite track that she's ever done might land on this album. And I gotta say, I think it's Flowers with Michael Kiwanuka. Now, putting my Michael Kiwanuka bias aside for a second, because I do love that guy, and I've talked about him at length on this channel before. Always praise Love and Hate. I think that's a fantastic album. I think he's one of the best soul singers of our time as well. His most recent album was a bit of a meh one, but still, I still think all those things stand true with Michael Kiwanuka. But even that bias that I have towards him, maybe you might be picking out here, I still don't think that would matter. I still think I would value this song so highly regardless, because this is so beautiful. I love the arrangements, the singing, the soulful rapping that comes through on this. It's just a really, really stunning track. Kind of reminds me of the best works of like of an Avondale Bowling Club song, honestly. I think it's really, really beautifully done. Again, there's so many bangers, there's so many high highs on this album that you would probably land on one of those. But Flowers, for me, in contention with one of her best ever. Oh my god, how do you pick a favourite on Sometimes I Might Be Introvert? You are kidding, man. You are kidding me. How the hell do you land on one? This is one of the best albums of the 2020 so far, and in like the top 3 conversation for best rap albums of the 2020 so far. Like, genuinely. It really is. It is fantastic. I do not know how we haven't collectively all landed on that conclusion yet, because it still feels as though Little Simz isn't quite getting her flowers by the masses yet, and there's still that kind of like, well, she can't stack up to the male rappers, and she's from the UK. Like, she's got a few things against her here that just have the kind of like the pure hip-hop heads not quite valuing this album at the level it should be, but real ones know how good this is, man. It is brilliant. Simbi is fantastic, and picking one track, man, pick it one. Oh, Two Worlds Apart is one that's crept up on me recently. I feel like that is up there as being one of the best. Always was a good song, but you know when you just go back to an album and then like a couple of tracks you liked them before, but they just kind of blossom. That's one that's really blossoming for me. What a track that one is. Fear No Man is so fun. You've got Introvert. You've got Woman. Oh my god. I Hate You, I Love You. Oh my god. So hard. But for me personally, it has always kind of been this song. It's never really changed. It's never really been threatened. And it's Woman for me. Woman is the one for me. I feel as though this is a very unique song in hip hop, where the centering of women around the entire topic and kind of empowering women, all kinds of women, all kinds of backgrounds, really feels it like it's done in such a beautiful way. Not to say that it's never been done before, but you know, like when you get like your Meghan Trainor shit, that kind of stuff, and it's just super corny. It's just like, nah, you're doing this totally wrong. And it can just come across as really corny when this kind of thing's done. But I just think Little Simz does it stunningly. The Cleo Soul feature is wondrous as well. Absolutely amazing. Her solo work is really good too. Pretty underrated, actually. So she is a really great artist in her own right, but just the way she captures that essence on this song, it's just got a magic to it. It's really beautifully arranged, again, similar to Flowers, in the kind of like way that it's produced in just such a impeccable way. And again, those lyrics are really, really beautiful. They're really, really well thought. They're diverse. Like, she has so many different ways to word things, and like kind of, again, center women in the way that she does. That's really clever, I think. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great. It's not like surface level, which again, stuff like this can be when they're not done well, or they're not tackled by somebody that's good at what they're doing. But Little Simz is a pro. Little Simz is not to be messed with. Little Simz is the GOAT. The GOAT. And she dropped this album not even that long after Simbi, which felt like a crazy thing to do, because Simbi was just so magnificent. It was so cinematic. It was like that kind of magnum opus that you thought, you know, you're not going to touch this for a while now. You're just going to let it sit. But basically, like, what, a year after that album comes out, she drops this? I mean, was it even a year? Was it less than a year? Honestly, it didn't feel that long at all. But yeah, it was crazy. And yeah, kind of just went more in the more grey area direction of just kind of having a bit more of a looseness to it. Had some bangers again, but also some really introspective, beautiful tracks like Angel. No Mercy's a really strong highlight as well. But I'm going to go maybe for the obvious one here. I didn't do that with Grey Area, but I am going to do the obvious one for this one. Sometimes it is just the obvious one. I say this on this channel all the time. Sometimes I pick out something that stands out to me personally in a different way, but the obvious one sometimes just stands out, and I've just got to go with it. And it's Gorilla, man. It's Gorilla. Like, Gorilla is just so fun. Gorilla is so fun. Gorilla got even better when she dropped the video, because that is a really fun video. And yeah, sometimes the visuals just heighten the how much you like a song. I feel like that did that for me as well. Just watching the video is great fun. Yeah, absolutely great instrumentation here. It's got a really triumphant feel. Of course, the trumpets do that, of course. Yeah, the kind of like braggadocious energy that she's got going on here. Her rhyme schemes and her wordplay are really clever here, and the kind of way that she like picks out little pockets and has these really cool like flows that kind of go on for a while, but she's always saying something really cool. It kind of feels like, yeah, a bit of a victory lap type song. Like, yeah, you just dropped Simz, an amazing album. This one kind of feels like you've earned it, and she's just kind of letting loose a little bit, kind of giving a bit more personality, having a bit more fun with it. And I just have a great time with this song, man. I think this is easily the best on the album. But again, really good album that you could pick out a few tracks that could stand out, but I just went with the obvious one on this occasion. And that is her discography so far. We do have the 6th album on the way, coming out in May this year, I believe. So we shall see what the best track ends up being on that one. But I thought this was fun. Just a nice little idea to do in the wake, the announcement of her album coming out. Little Simz is getting a bit more talked about right now. Wanted to highlight her discography just in case if somebody, you know, is stumbling upon this video that doesn't know much about her. You have a nice starting point now. You have a nice little starting point. So let me know if you are a big fan of hers, what would your picks be from each of her albums, and subscribe. Follow for more content like this. Let me know what I should do next as well. Should I talk about a different artist for a future video here? Should I talk about something, you know, in a different genre? Because I've only done hip-hop so far for this, but it's not just going to be strictly hip-hop for this series. So let me know what I should do. And that's it. Subscribe. Have a good day. Goodbye.